The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate it. Oh, wonders they say shall never cease to happen. The African do not deserve anything good. We always deserve to suffer per the definition of other people and per how they measure their standard and how they see themselves. Nothing good supposed to happen to the African. The African, who are you? To be the ones that in terms of crisis, you rather be free. Do you remember some time back the European Union came out to claim that the oil that is coming from Dangote's refinery is not their standard? But here is where things get interesting. World Bank is on the neck of Dangote. Why? Because according to World Bank, Dangote needs to reset the oil prices in Nigeria. Ever since this war between the Iranians and the United States of America and Israel broke out, the oil prices have risen in the world market and now it's over 100 and something per a barrel. US dollars, and things are becoming so hard for these people. So for that matter, the oil that they told us some months ago that it was dirty, it doesn't meet the European standard or the Western standard, needs to now be shipped to them because they see that Africans, we are no longer facing the heat they were expecting us to feel because of Dangote's oil. So for that matter, this oil must be sent to them so that we rather will sit in Africa and then import the same thing back into the continent and buy it at a very expensive way. Everything must be done for them to enjoy. But the African do not deserve anything.
The World Bank is now fighting with Dangote, and the World Bank is now demanding Dangote to reset the oil prices and stop selling it cheaper. Also, they don't want it to be supplied to African nations, but rather the Western nations. Just for context, Dangote is the richest man in Africa, and he has been doing business of refining Nigerian oil. Now, because of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, his oil has gone up, and instead of selling it to the Western nations, you won't believe that Dangote has decided to supply the African nations with this oil. And now, the World Bank is coming out and saying that he has to reset the prices and the priority on which he should sell this oil must be the Western nations because of what is happening. There is a lot of fuel shortage. But of course, Dangote has come out and said that for the first time, Africa is going to be a priority and he has the capacity to supply to East Africa, West Africa, North Africa, and even the Central Africa without any delay. For the first time, Africa is winning.
Enemies of Nigeria are exposing themselves on a daily basis. Today is the World Bank complaining about Dangote being the sole supplier of petrol in Nigeria. The World Bank wants Nigeria to reinstate fuel import license so marketers can continue importing gasoline. They want us to return to the dark times. Listen carefully, my brothers and sisters. For over 40 years, Nigeria has been doing something that makes zero sense. We produce oil, and then we ship it abroad, and then we buy it back as petrol at a higher price. That is not economics. That is madness. Every year, Nigeria spends billions of dollars importing fuel. Billions gone from our economy, gone from our people. Now I want you to ask yourself, if you are exporting crude and importing petrol, then who is getting rich? Who is creating jobs? Who is building industries? It's certainly not Nigeria. And then comes one man, Aliko Dangote. He builds a refinery that can process 650,000 barrels per day, one of the largest in the whole world. And suddenly, Nigeria has a chance to refine its own oil, to keep its money inside the country, create jobs, build a real industrial experience. But what happens? People start shouting, bring back imports, bring back imports. Let me explain this in a way a primary school child would understand. You have a farm, you grow rice. Instead of eating your rice, you sell it. And then you go and buy foreign rice at double the price. So, Will you ever be rich? This is what Nigeria has been doing. Countries like South Korea have zero oil, yet they refine millions of barrels. They buy our own crude oil, they refine it, and then sell it back to us and make a profit. That is not trade. That is organized economic exploitation. And now that Nigeria finally wants to stand up, some people are uncomfortable. Why? Because importing fuel is easy profit, while refining locally means real work, real industry. And for years, Nigerian government have claimed that they have been fixing refineries. Billions of dollars spent. Where did all that money go? Into the pockets of government officials who became too confident to even own refineries abroad like Malta. Now someone builds a real refinery and suddenly the same system says competition, competition. Let me translate that. They don't want Nigeria to produce. They want Nigeria to only depend. Because a country that cannot refine its own oil, cannot control its own economy, cannot control its future. So Dangote refinery is not the problem. It's the beginning of Nigeria thinking for itself. And if we destroy local refining, then we go back to importing poverty, exporting jobs, bleeding dollars. So this is not about one man. This is about Nigeria standing up or Nigeria remaining a customer forever to the Westerners that do not like us. Let me say this one last time. A country rich in oil, but buying fuel from abroad is not poverty. That is economic slavery. So in the comments, I want all of you to write #No to World Bank.
Breaking news. The World Bank is asking Nigeria to reset its petrol prices because Dangote is dominating the market. They cannot have it when an African is actually doing well. So Dangote has come to the rescue of Africans, or of Africa since the war between Israel and the US against Iran took place and the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Now, Dangote has actually, he came in at the right time and he has been there for Africans, and now because he's dominating the market in Africa, the World Bank is asking Nigeria to intervene and stop him from benefiting.
African nations are not seeing the heat that some few days that the war started, we heard the president of Botswana, Duma Boko, coming out to tell the world that they have only 9 days of oil reserve left. But we're thinking that these things will cut across the whole of Africa because we didn't know how we are going to get these things. But Dangote was there to set us free. And for that matter, World Bank is not happy. When we are suffering, why should they be enjoying? Because these people still have it in their mindset that the African is still a slave. So for that matter, they continue to treat the African the way they think the African is. But African leaders will always act in the interest of these people. And why should World Bank be interested in making things difficult for the African? And this is what they want, because always they force our leaders to be going for loans just to make life unbearable for the African because of the conditions that they apply to the loans that they give to us. And these are the same people that Africans still sit here thinking that these institutions are there to help us. And sometimes you hear the so-called elite, the so-called educated Africans sitting on TV to tell you how bad these institutions have helped us. How bad these people are doing everything possible to help the African, because mentally we are colonized and we don't even know the people who are after our downfall. This Iran and Israel or whatever war that happened should open the eyes of a lot of us in Africa. But the saddest part is a lot of people still can't see through what is happening because it is now dividing the people who are supposed to be seeing the truth and changing their mentality to now channel their energy towards religious line. So you have Africans that's supposed to be excited because even if we are not benefiting anything from it, it's teaching us a lesson. But in one way or the other, we are benefiting because the people who are doing the supply chain in Sudan can no longer send things there. Yet the African will still close his or her eyes towards all the benefits that we are getting to be fighting towards the line of religion. These are the people that are making life unbearable for us. They are the people that will make sure that anything that is on our soil that is benefiting and making life easy for us, they fight against it. They are the reason to which we are not moving forward. And they are able to do that because of the system they kept in place. The same system that the so-called journalists, the so-called educated elites of Africa are praising, claiming that this is the system that can change the fate of Africa. We need to wake up from our sleep. World Bank has been the problem of Africa. IMF has been the problem of Africa. And that is why we are not moving forward. And these people these days are no longer fighting us in secrecy. They are doing it openly. Who are Africans to have a better life? Who are we to be feeling happy? We are not going through stress while they go through stress. Buying oil at a very expensive price. Yet the African is sitting here enjoying everything. So for that matter, they need to act. They need to come in to stop, to make sure that our lives become unbearable. This is the motive of these people. They don't ever want to see you, the African, rising. But the African is so blind to the point that we love these people so much. When will we ever wake up? When will we ever be ready to fight for the total liberation of the African? When will we stop loving other people and channel that energy towards our own selves? When will we ever start seeing ourselves as one people and seeing that these people who claim they are the saviors of Africa are rather the ones that are causing our downfall? United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world, in Africa, West Africa, and in Nigeria.